Friday, November the 29th, and we're about to complete another outstanding month of conversations on the Sportsline Podcast. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Folks, today's podcast is accepting all comers, and I guarantee it will be a knockout. Now, on Saturday, December the 7th, in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Three Lions Promotions is presenting a world-class card that will be headlined by a showdown for the interim WBC Cruiserweight title. In what will be a rematch from a closely contested bout from May of 2022, it's Argentina's Yamil Peralta who will be facing this man, our man, a Canadian who's the pride of Sydney Forks, Nova Scotia, and fights out of Hamilton. His record, a sensational 20 wins, 19 by knockout against just a single loss. So proud to bring in the likes of Ryan, the Bruiser Rozicki.
I'm in a business where it's full of businessmen and it's full of athletes pretending to be fighters, but I go into this ring and I fight. I fight for my life every fight.
Well, those are words of the champion, and those were tough words. Ryan Rozicki, thanks for joining us. Daniel Otter, Three Lions Promotions. Boy, you got a big fight coming up, and I'll tell you, we're just a week away.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's unbelievable to be on this stage and for Ryan to be able to display his showcase to the world, right? To showcase his skills, and we're confident he's got what it takes to have that green belt for sure.
Ryan, I'm telling you, how do you feel right now? I mean, again, so close to actually step in the ring, something that you're very familiar with, but again, the stakes are so high.
Right now, I'm just trying to keep my emotions out of it. Right, the physical work is done. I've trained for months and months for this fight, so now once you get about a week out from a fight, it's all about just keeping your emotions calm, keeping your emotions out of it, and you almost just get ice cold before a fight like this.
I think when I hear and talk to a lot of different people in sports, there is a comfort of being at home, but there's also a lot of distractions. How do you kind of just separate yourself from that, because you are fighting in your home province?
Yeah, it's tough. There's so many friends and family there coming to see me fight, so it's tough when you go out there, and no matter how well you mentally prepare to eliminate the emotions, they do come out in the fight, especially with my fighting style and the rage I bring into the ring. So that's the biggest fight for me is one in here, and then the rest on the night will happen, right?
You said friends and family, and I don't know how you slipped this in with all the work that you've had to do to prepare for this bout. Did you just get married?
Yeah, I did.
Amazing. How did that all happen?
No, I met this woman, and then we both decided it's what we wanted, and we got married. That's simple.
I guess that's really just an extra inspiration for you as well.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's and I'm sure you knew all about this.
I did. Well, hey, no, I mean, kind of came out of left field, but they were talking and they were dating for a long time, and I knew Ryan was falling in love with her. It just kind of, the wedding was just like, here, I'm getting married. I said, awesome. So I'm really happy for both of them, right? They seem that they got what they wanted, and they're both mature and on their level of career is good. So it just kind of meshed with them to get married.
I mean, let's bring this in before we go anywhere here. This is beautiful. Yeah. Tell me a bit about this. I mean, we only see these things on television, and the fact that I'm actually seeing a world-class belt is just unbelievable.
Yeah, that is the Stanley Cup of boxing, right? So Muhammad Ali's won that belt. Floyd Mayweather, it's the green belt, it's the money belt. So that is definitely the first time it's ever been in the city of Hamilton, maybe one or two times in the province of Ontario. So on a global scale, this is massive just to have that belt right there. It's a vacant belt at this. It has both Ryan and Yamil's pictures on it, so the challengers and the winner gets to keep the belt, and we're confident Ryan's going to be the one.
Three Lions Promotions, you put together bouts. I mean, not just this bout here, but other bouts. I mean, again, I think Hamilton has been sort of a stronghold for boxing in Ontario as well, too, and continues to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. So, without the support of the city, Hamilton, Ryan now is a resident of Hamilton, we wouldn't be able to get here. So when he came to the shows, we would sell out 2,000-3,000 tickets, whatever we could max out at. And he just got a big cult following right in Hamilton, so he's become one of us, and it's been a hotbed for boxing in Canada for sure. We do 2 or 3 shows a year. They're always sold out, and everyone always comes out and has a good time, and it's great to see the city support.
Ryan, why boxing? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I didn't really think I was going to be in television, but as you foster your youth and what you're going to do, I think of a Muhammad Ali, and someone stole his bike when he was 12 years old, and then boom, that's what turned him into boxing. Was there something for you that got you into the sport?
I just grew up, I loved fighting. I came from a family that liked, a lot of them liked to fight, and my dad loved fighting, but it wasn't boxing, there were street fighters. And the place that I come from, Cape Breton, there's a lot of fighting outside the ring, boxing's not huge there. Mm-hmm. So I started fighting very young, and then one thing led to another, trouble with the law, and it was, I actually ended up, it was a judge that recommended my dad to put, I think I was about 15, he said to put me in some kind of sport, and I wanted to join hockey because I figured I could do all the fighting I wanted in hockey. And then my dad was like, well, why don't we try boxing? He knew the local boxing coach, so he's like, let's put you in that. And I hated it right away because it was friggin' hard, and I wasn't like physically fit. I could just punch hard. Mm-hmm. But yeah, once I started boxing, and I just saw the challenge and everything, I started to get addicted to it, and it kept me straight. To this day, it keeps me straight.
Tyson had Customato. Who was that person for you that, as you said, that took you from a guy that was just a puncher into a boxer that likes to knock people out?
Well, now my coach is Stevie Bailey, a guy from Ireland he's doing real good in Canada right now and starting to get known around the world. But originally it was a guy named Rudy Plitchie. He was a cut man, and he was one of the best cut men in North America. And there was a couple amateur coaches. There was Brad Ross, but Rudy came in the gym. He was, at the time he was 80-some years old, and he had worked with Charlie Goldman, Rocky Marciano's coach. So he knew the tricks of the trade. He was in corners with Yvon Durrell and many other great Canadian fighters. So he understood the basics of boxing from, like, you're talking 1920s, and he started actually teaching me about all these old school fighters and the way that they fought and the way they held their hands and moved. And I get a lot of people call me like an old school, like a throwback fighter, and that comes from him and the early days that I started and the style that I bring to the ring. And to this day, I still use that same style. And now I got a coach that he works with that style to make it better, and it's really a throwback style. I relate a lot to Jack Dempsey.
Well, and I was going right there because, doing a little history on you and who inspired you, and obviously wasn't someone that you could communicate with at the time because this was a completely different time. You're looking at the 20s and the 30s in Jack Dempsey. And what was it about him that you said, I want to mirror my style very much against the likes of a former world champion like him?
Well, it was when I first got into boxing through the courts and everything, the first thing I did was, after I went to the boxing class for the first time, I went home and I got on the internet and I started typing in boxing and knockouts and started researching, because I didn't know anything about it. Like, I loved fighting, but I didn't know about boxing. And I remember going through all the videos, and I seen there was Muhammad Ali, there was Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, there was all these fighters, and then I saw the black and white video of it was Jack Dempsey versus Jess Willard, July 4th, 1919. So I clicked that. And I remember I was like watching it, and I was like, the way he moved and the violence that he brought to his opponent, I just admired it. I thought, like, this is what I want to be like. I don't want to be a boxer. I don't want to be. They're trying to teach me how to jab and move, and I wasn't interested. I wanted to hurt the opponent. So when I saw the way Jack Dempsey fought, and the aggression he brought into the ring, I knew that was the man that I had to try to mirror that style.
Because I look at those boxers, and obviously to the heavyweights today. And first of all, the heavyweights today are much bigger than they were back in that time. I think those guys went, 195, 215, about that maximum. And now these guys are bloated at like a Fury's fighting at 280. I think these guys are massive right now. But at that time, it was all raw punching power. Like, there was the jabs and the setups and, the straight right hands and stuff like that were coming. Were just devastating. And then I look at you and what you've done in terms of your style and the way you punish people. Where does that aggression come from?
Well, that comes from the probably the upbringing. You know what I mean? Like that's something that you can't teach it. It's not. I would say it came from the way I grew up and the fights I was in before I started boxing, the street fights and close calls, with death and stuff. That kind of probably brought that out of me.
Because, there is a sense that I would say this. I don't know how it's a correct way to bring this up. You do like to, not defeat them, beat them.
Yeah, I want to hurt them. It's true. Yeah, I try to hurt them, and I'm not just trying to land a punch. I'm trying to break their jaw or break their eye socket, or, we'll work a lot. Me and my coach will work a lot on trying to hit the arm to break the arms, and I have broken the arms of a few of my opponents and a lot of sparring partners too.
But you've had that happen to you as well too.
I broke my own arm, yeah, a couple times.
Just from throwing punches?
From throwing them, taking them, yeah. I broke quite a few bones.
Incredible. Okay, why Bruiser? I mean, this is all kind of coming together to me. The nickname Bruiser, why Bruiser?
Well, that actually came from, so I grew up hunting a lot. And, if hunters know, deer hunters, like people who hunt deer, they know that a buck in an area that's like an alpha, they fight when it comes to the rutting season. They fight other bucks for their dominance or whatever. Kind of like what us fighters do, I
guess so.
And so there's an old saying we have in hunting, like when you come across a buck that's like an old beat up and he's got scars and he's battered, and he might not be the toughest one in the woods, but he's the one that's like, he runs a lot of them off, and they know that when they meet him, he's going to be in a real fight because he's a bruiser. That's where that comes from. So that's where that nickname came from.
That's pretty cool. I like the way you put that together. I mean, when you hear this, and obviously, as a promotional kind of guy, you want to put together the best fights for the public. What attracted you that's saying, I want to get involved with Ryan?
I think it was, just when you talk to him there, right? You can see it in him that he's, it's not fake. He's a real fighter, and I seen that in him. I'm not saying these other guys are fake fighters or anything, but it's his drive. And I can see, his focus on what he's doing. And, I know when he says that, I want to hurt these people, and he is right. Outside of the ring, he's a great man, right? Great guy, very caring, very caring. But it's just something switches off when he's in the ring. And I seen that as soon as I seen a picture of him. I watched some videos of him, and I said, this guy's got what it takes. Because I always say with boxing, it's 90% outside the ring, 10% in, but that 10% has to be spot on. Someone like, Jake Paul, the guy's so famous, 90% out of the ring, he's got everything you want. But that 10% to be the upper elite, to have this green belt, which Jake Paul, someone like him would never get, he's got it, and he's got the it factor inside and outside the ring, and it's huge in boxing, right? You got to promote yourself just outside the ring as much as you're inside the ring. So I felt that he was well-rounded and he had everything needed to be a real champion.
Part of me says that I wish you didn't bring up the name Jake Paul, but I was prepared for this, and I have to ask you guys, because Ryan Rozicki is a real fighter, one that trains and puts together all the efforts to become a world champion. And you put together, as I said, these world-class bouts around the world. Mike Tyson and Jake Paul was a big deal, obviously, and made all kinds of money for everyone, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm struggling a little bit. Hey, I was a big fan. I'm in the pocket of Mike Tyson, all right? Saw it all.
Yeah,
Saw it all. Travel over the border to watch all his fights before anyone knew who this cat was. I'm a boxing fan.
Yeah.
But when I see a 58-year-old boxer going against a 27-year-old man, I think sideshow. From someone that's involved in the sport, Ryan, you first, what did you think about all of this?
I didn't like it personally. Like I watched it, and I was like everybody else, I was like looking up, like, please, boxing gods, give Mike this shot. You'd give him one more punch, But it is what it is. We all saw what happened, And I don't know. I didn't like it.
Someone like Jake Paul is getting a lot of notoriety, and I don't know who he's fought. You fought some world-class opponents. Does that, he's making a lot of money and getting a lot of attention, a lot of clicks. I don't know, does that bother you?
Not really, but like, in a way, I guess it does, because, he didn't really fight anyone to get where he's at. Like, he fought fighters, but they weren't, they weren't real tough fighters in the boxing ring. They were past it and stuff. But, this thing's sitting in front of me here. If I can win this, then maybe it'd be something that he wants to come after, and I'd be very willing to fight him.
You'd fight him?
Yeah, I'd fight him.
Could you beat him?
I think I hurt him badly.
What do you think about this? What do you think about that whole situation?
Like, I love Mike Tyson, right? So it was a hurt to my soul.
Yes.
Right? I know him as Kid Dynamite. I know him from back, So that hurt. But I'll play the devil advocate here a little bit. Like, Jake Paul has put a lot of eyes on the sport, right? A lot of eyes on the cruiserweight division, which is Ryan Rozicki's division. So I always say, you know, you got to take the good with the bad, right? Yeah, okay, he wasn't a boxer when he first started, but hey, we got to give it to him. The guy's been training 2-3 years. You see he's in shape. He can fight now. I mean, I'm not saying he's the best in the world, but he's an average boxer, and he takes on fights, and he puts eyes on the sport, right? Mm-hmm. So, especially on this belt, right? Mm-hmm. So I would take, it's like a yin and a yang with me, because I'm so upset what happened to Mike Tyson, right? But I have to look at the good in everything, and I always do. And I say, look, a lot of eyes that never watch boxing are watching this boxing, and then Ryan's name comes up in these clips too. You know, he's the cruiserweight champion, and that's where the division is. So for us, it's like more eyes the better, right? It's kind of our job to get him on that platform for the world to see. And, you know, if you've got to kind of piggyback and kind of tag along with what goes on, it is what it is. But yeah, Ryan would absolutely starch Jake Paul. There'd be no competition, I feel. But, you know, that being said, you know, all eyes on the sport. We love it.
WBC Cruiserweight division has just been chaos over the last year or two. I say the word Noel McCallan. What does this mean to you? I mean, I feel like this fight should have happened already. Like, what's going on here?
There's a lot of politics in boxing, and there's a lot of red tape sometimes. He should have fought. He basically,
because it should have been two.
It was done. It was about 4 times it was supposed to fight. Then what happens is we made agreement with Don King. The fight's going to happen. It gets postponed, whatever the case. So then once it can't happen, we go to purse bid. It goes to the auction block, and any promoter can bid on this, right? There's some red tape to get in there, but any registered promoter with the WBC can bid. I flew down to Mexico City, represented our company, and the 11th hour, 2 minutes before we're about to put in the bid, we make a deal. Deal's done. Ryan's fighting Noel McCallan. We got the rights to the fight December 7th. 1 week later, out of nowhere, he's in legal wows with Don King. So when that happens, there is a process that happens, right? So it's like, okay, what happens? Let's go to number 2. Let's fight Yamil Peralta. Let's make it an interim world title. He's still the world champion, recognized as a true champion. I believe, my guess, I'm not Noel, I'm not his team, is they will vacate the belt, and I think that he will maybe retire or change weight classes, wherever the case, but he ain't fighting the Bruiser. We all know that. It's not happening.
Do you feel like he's been ducking you?
Yeah, I mean, you can't be denied anymore, because you can only find so many ways out, you know? So, yeah, I feel that way.
And when I think of you, because I mean, obviously the preparation for a bout of any type takes months and months. I mean, you must have had all kinds of preparation getting ready for this. And I mean, I'm sure the emotional ups and downs must have been difficult in some ways.
Oh yeah, I wasted a lot of time and energy thinking about that guy and training for that guy. So, you know, it is what it is at this point. But I got in my opinion, a much better fighter to worry about now. I know I've already been in the ring with this guy, so, you know, I think this is a tougher fight overall anyways, so all that was for this, you know, and that's all my focus is now, is to focus on the guy who I'm going to be actually fighting, not a guy who was just talking and, you know, whatever. That doesn't mean anything anymore.
Well, you've moved on, obviously, and now the preparation for Peralta, again, a week away from this fight. You did have a closely contested fight with him. What's his strengths and weaknesses? I mean, obviously, I don't want your game plan up to go on TV, but tell me a little bit about your opponent, who you're going to be facing on December the 7th.
Well, he's got everything. You know, he's got the speed. Everybody at 200 plus pounds can punch hard, especially when you put these little pro gloves on. So he's got extremely good movement. His IQ, you know, you see him when you see him fight. His eyes are wide open. He sees everything you do. So you gotta really be smart with this guy. Any mistake you make, he takes advantage of it because he's quick. So, you know, he's a world-class fighter, and he earned his position as the number 2 in the division. So it's a tough fight. It's a real true world championship fight between 2 of the best.
With that said, you did defeat him in that first bout, but you've said, and I've heard you in other interviews say, you might not have been at your best at that night.
Well, I'd never say that, because you know, what if I would have knocked him out? Then I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So it was just that night was a really tough fight against 2 tough fighters, and you know, at the end of the day, I'm not a judge. I'm not a judge, and I don't it's not my job to decide who won or who lost if we're both standing at the end of the fight. It's my job to be standing at the end of the fight, and for him to not be standing at the end of the fight. So if he's on his feet and we're waiting for a decision, I didn't do my job.
You haven't been in the ring, I would think it'd be in the calendar year, a full calendar year.
Yeah.
I don't know, is that a difference? I've seen that you've had one year where you fought 4 times.
Yeah.
4 times in a year. You were active, very active. But the fact that you haven't been in the ring in a year, does that bring its own challenges, or are you just ready to go?
No, it brings its challenges for me. I'm a type of fighter that likes to be active, and I don't really watch modern boxing. I watch the old school boxing. So, guys like Henry Armstrong and there was a fighter battling Lewinsky who fought 3 times in one day. These guys, like, they used to fight. Ray Robinson fought every weekend at one time. Like, these guys used to fight constantly. They spent more time in actual fights than they did in training. So to me, I think it's all backwards today. I think that fighters are wearing out in the gyms, and they're wearing out in sparring and running and doing all this stuff when they could be using their valuable time that they have in their primes to be in the actual fights. All those injuries and stuff, they come in the gyms. They don't come usually in the fights.
Kind of like, so there is a truth to overtraining.
I want to kind of switch this up, and maybe I can, after this fight, I'd like to fight within the next month. That's my plan.
Did you hear the man?
Yeah, no, he tells me, and this is exactly what it's a promoter's dream, right? So it's exactly what you want. You want a fighter like that, like he wants to fight. Right?
I want to take it back to the way it used to be when fighters fought more often. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you think about the heavyweight division back in the day, and it certainly was like that back in the 70s and the 80s. And I know it was a bit of a sham, but that one night, I think it might have been 1974, where George Foreman fought 5 guys in one night. Like, they're all tin cans, but I mean, he had to fight 5 different guys, right?
100%. Like, I like it. I like the thought. I would love to set like a record with Ryan, right? Once he wins this title, say most title defenses in 1 year type thing, right? Bring it real back to the old school and flip the script, but one step at a time. Let's win the title first, and then we can talk. But Ryan was a very active fighter, right? So he hasn't been active, and it's no one's doing, but we're here now. So I think that he's laser focused. I think that this time outside the ring, look, he got married in between. He's building his family with his new wife, and it's gonna, so I think that it's done well with, like I always say, you got to take the good with the bad. So I think it's really like a matured him level in his mind, and inside the ring, outside the ring, got to work out on some stuff that you wouldn't normally have if you're always fighting. So I think it's going to be good.
This cruiserweight right now, and that's what, up to 200?
Yeah.
Okay. Heavyweight, is that in the cards?
I mean, if you look at my record, I've already fought quite a few heavyweights. Okay. I fought Oscar Rivas, who was a top 10 heavyweight. I actually fought him for a world title. This is my second world title fight. But I'd fight heavyweights, no problem. No
intimidation in the fact that some of these guys are going maybe 20, 30 pounds heavier than you are?
No, not a bit. Because look what Jack Dempsey could do to them, like what he did to Jess Willard. I got that in my head, and nobody can tell me different. And I've knocked out enough guys that were 250, 60 pounds, so I know that I can knock them guys out.
Got to ask again, I got to get deep on you one more here. When you're can you explain to all of us here about what it's like when you're in the ring? Like ding, ding, ding. There's, there could be as many as 10,000, 20,000, even 70,000 in what we saw in the Tyson thing. And everyone's focused on the ring. And here you are. And like basketball, hockey, football, yes, it's the same situation, but there's many people on the playing surface. In boxing, there's this squared circle, for the most part, and 2 guys. Where do you go mentally?
Oh, I go way back. Sometimes I can ring. I got a very powerful mind when it comes to this. So I go in, and I'll actually sometimes I'll look around and I see everybody, but then I'll switch it in my head so I can see everybody in a different era. Maybe they got their little fedora hats on, or maybe they're wearing something they would wear in the Roman times, and I think I'm in a gladiator in a Colosseum, or I think I'm Jack Dempsey in in a ring in the 1920s. You know, I go wherever I have to go. Yeah.
That's amazing that you can do that. I mean, we all talk about focus, and everyone does it in different ways. But so all I'll say to you is, you know, congratulations on what you've done so far. You've really put yourself on the map. I'm really looking forward to, and I know after, you know, this podcast, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be, hey man, we got a big fight that we need to see in a week from now, and it's just down the road, basically in our own country, a Canadian doing well. And can I just leave this with you? Canadian boxers, where are we right now? Are we doing better?
We're doing really well. We're doing really well. We got a few guys that have, you know, gone to the global stage, and I think Ryan Rozicki's leading the way right now. Right? He's nationally known. I mean, we go to Halifax, Vancouver, everywhere we go, someone will come up to me and him. We're walking, Ryan Rozicki, I follow you, I like you. You know, so he's really building it, and he's got that style that the fans love. Right? The old throwback telephone booth fighting, and it's what people want to see. I think boxing's on a rise, and like I said, you know, these other side circus acts, whatever, they're all putting eyes on the show. So, you know, it's coming to be a big show, big lights, big fights, and I think Canada's leading the way here. I think Ryan's going to lead the way for Canada. Well,
if you need anything from us and from myself in this podcast to promote the fights, especially when they come to Hamilton, I know it. I mean, this is the Steel City. We like toughness, right? You know, that's what this place is all about. So
blue collar brawlers.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. That's right. You know, it's Toronto guys that are a little slick, but you know, we like here in Steeltown, right? So you let us know if you ever need anything in terms of promotion of the fight, or you got some other young and up and comers. Please, you know where to find us. And Ryan, I can't wait to see you in the ring. Can't wait to knock him out. Knock him out.
I'll try.
Right? Finish him off. Yeah. Okay? Folks, again, thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you so much.
Good luck to you there.
Appreciate it.
Hey, folks, that's your Sportsline podcast for the day. And if you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote the Sportsline podcast, do want to hear from you, please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button. And if you have something to say, please comment. For the outstanding people that make the Sportsline podcast possible, thank you so very much. And we'll see you next week.